Today, we're going to talk about how to live not just a long life, but a really vibrant, healthy one. We're breaking down the top 5 superfoods that science has actually linked to longevity. So forget all the fads. This is about real food that has some real power. So let me just ask you, who here wants to live to be 100? I'm guessing a lot of hands are going up. But there's always a catch, isn't there? We want to be healthy, we want to be active, and we definitely want to be sharp. Traveling, learning new things, playing with the great grandkids, not struggling to remember their names. For the longest time, the common belief was that a long, healthy life was basically just a roll of the dice. You either won the genetic lottery or you didn't. People just figured it was something almost completely out of our hands. But then something amazing happened. Scientists started studying these blue zones, these incredible pockets of the world where people are just routinely living active, healthy lives past 100. And what they found completely flipped that old belief on its head. It turns out our genes only account for about 20% of our lifespan. Just 20%. So what does that mean? Well, that other 80%? That's on us. It comes down to our lifestyle, how we move our bodies, how we connect with people, and maybe most importantly, what we decide to put on our fork every single day. The power to write your own health story, well, it's right there. Okay, so let's dive right in. We're going to build your ultimate longevity shopping list. First, we'll talk about the longevity equation itself. Then, we'll cover brain-boosting berries and heart-healthy fish. After that, we'll get into the surprising story of nuts and the power of cruciferous veggies. We'll also talk about liquid gold, olive oil. And finally, we'll put it all together. Think of these 5 items as your new toolkit for healthy aging. And let me just be really clear, we're not talking about trendy powders or some expensive rare berry from a far-off jungle. Nope, we are focusing on real, whole foods that you can find right in your local grocery store. Foods that have been proven by science time and time again to fight disease, protect your brain, and really extend your health span. All right, let's jump into our first 2 powerhouses. This is kind of like the dynamic duo for protecting your 2 most vital organs, your mind and your heart. So kicking us off, we've got our first superfood. It's small, it's delicious, and it's one of the most powerful tools we have for protecting our brains as we age. I'm talking about, you guessed it, blueberries. You may have heard them called brainberries, and let me tell you, that nickname is incredibly well-earned. See, as we get older, our brains get more vulnerable to something called oxidative stress. Now, the best way to think about this is like a kind of rusting process that's happening inside your cells. It's a natural part of aging, sure, but when it gets out of control, it leads directly to things like memory loss and that foggy feeling that, let's be honest, we all worry about. And this is where blueberries swoop in like superheroes. They are absolutely packed with these powerful antioxidants called anthocyanins. That's the stuff that gives them that gorgeous deep blue color. But here's the really cool part. These little compounds are one of the very few things that can actually cross the blood-brain barrier. They get right in there to protect the parts of your brain in charge of memory and learning. And listen, this isn't just a nice theory. A huge study from Harvard found that older women who ate berries regularly delayed their cognitive aging by up to 2.5 years. Just think about that for a second. That's like adding years of clarity and sharpness to your life just by eating a handful of berries. Try to get about half a cup a day. And hey, good news, frozen are just as powerful as fresh. All right, on to our second superfood. This one is really the cornerstone of any diet focused on heart health and longevity. Yep, we're talking about fatty fish. We mean the good stuff. Cold water fish like wild-caught salmon, mackerel, sardines, and even those little anchovies. So the key player here is omega-3s. We've all heard of them, but do you know why they're so important, especially after age 50? Well, the answer is just one word: inflammation. And I'm not talking about when you sprain your ankle. I mean that chronic, low-grade inflammation that just silently simmers in the body. We now know this is a root cause of pretty much every major age-related disease you can think of, from heart disease to arthritis and even Alzheimer's. I love this analogy. The best way to think of omega-3s is as the body's own little fire extinguishers. They don't just cover up symptoms. They go right to the source and put out those tiny, destructive fires of inflammation before they can really damage your arteries, your joints, and your brain. And the benefits are just incredible. Studies show that people who eat fatty fish on the regular have a much lower risk of dying from a heart attack. And here's a mind-blowing fact. Your brain is about 60% fat.
It needs a constant supply of these healthy fats to keep it running smoothly. So if you want to keep your joints moving and your heart beating strong, try for at least 2 servings a week.
All right, let's get into our next pair of superfoods. And get ready because one of these might really surprise you. For decades, a lot of us were actually told to stay away from it. Our third superfood is one I find so interesting because it just shows how much our understanding of nutrition has changed over the years. I'm talking about nuts, especially walnuts. Remember the whole low-fat craze in the 80s and 90s? Nuts were basically public enemy number one. We were all told they were just little bags of fat. But then, researchers looked at the blue zones and saw that the longest-lived people on Earth were eating them by the handful every single day. Now, this is pretty cool. Have you ever just stopped and really looked at a walnut? It's uncanny. It looks exactly like a miniature human brain. It's got the two hemispheres, the little folds. It's wild. It's what ancient healers called the doctrine of signatures, this idea that nature gives us clues about what's good for us. And the crazy thing is, modern science totally backs this up. Walnuts are really in a class of their own because they're the only nut with a serious amount of plant-based omega-3s. But honestly, all nuts, almonds, pistachios, you name it, are longevity powerhouses. They're this perfect little package of healthy fat, fiber, and protein that helps keep you full and keeps your blood sugar stable. But check this out. This is the real kicker. A massive Harvard study followed over 100,000 people for decades, and they found that people who ate a handful of nuts every day were 20% less likely to die from any cause, heart disease, cancer, anything, compared to people who didn't eat nuts. A 20% drop? That's just huge. That is one powerful handful. Okay, next up, number 4. These guys are the true heavy lifters of the vegetable world. We're talking about cruciferous vegetables. So that's your broccoli, your Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, kale, cabbage, this whole family. They are, without a doubt, the champions of detoxification and cancer prevention. So here's how they work, and it's actually amazing. These vegetables have a special compound called sulforaphane, and it's a fascinating little molecule. It doesn't go around attacking bad stuff directly. Instead, it acts like a general, sending a signal to your body, to your liver specifically, to ramp up its own production of powerful detox enzymes. So when you eat something like broccoli, you're basically flipping the switch on your body's own internal self-defense system. These enzymes then get to work, finding potentially harmful chemicals that we're all exposed to and helping to escort them right out of your body. It's like sending in a highly trained cleaning crew to scrub your cells from the inside out. And that brings us to our final superfood, number 5. And honestly, this one might be the most iconic of them all. If there is one single ingredient that defines the Mediterranean diet, the most celebrated longevity diet in the world, it is this stuff, this liquid gold. Our 5th and final superfood is an absolute staple in the kitchens of pretty much every single centenarian in the blue zones of Icaria and Sardinia. It is, of course, extra virgin olive oil. And listen, people in these places don't just drizzle it on their salads. They use it liberally, sometimes up to a liter a week. They're pouring it on vegetables, on fish, on beans, on pretty much everything. So why are they so obsessed with it? Well, it's because real, high-quality olive oil is loaded with healthy fats and these really powerful anti-inflammatory antioxidants called polyphenols. These things are amazing for you. They help protect the lining of your arteries, they can help lower bad cholesterol, and they're even fantastic for your skin. They give you that healthy glow. But, and this is a really big but, it has to be extra virgin. That label isn't just for show, it's a promise that the oil came from the very first press of the olives, without using high heat or chemicals. And that gentle process is absolutely crucial, because those powerful little polyphenols are super delicate. Regular or light olive oil has been processed so much that all that good stuff is gone. So you gotta treat the good stuff like the liquid gold it is. Okay, phew, we have covered a lot of ground. So let's bring it all home and put this together into a simple, practical shopping list you can actually use this week. Here it is, your cheat sheet for a longer, healthier life. You've got blueberries to keep your brain sharp, fatty fish to cool down inflammation in your heart and joints, a daily handful of nuts for overall life extension, cruciferous veggies for powerful cancer protection, and that rich extra virgin olive oil for your arteries and your skin. It almost sounds too simple, doesn't it? But that's the absolute beauty of it. You don't need some miracle pill or an expensive, complicated machine. The biggest secrets to a long, vibrant life are just waiting for you, right there in the grocery store. So I'm going to leave you with a little challenge. Don't try to overhaul your whole diet tomorrow. Just pick one of these things. That's it. Maybe this week you just grab a bag of frozen blueberries for your oatmeal, or you decide to have salmon for dinner one night. Because those small, consistent changes, when you compound them over time, they create massive results. You have so much power over how you age. Now, I would genuinely love to hear from you. Which of these 5 superfoods is already one of your favorites? Maybe you have an amazing recipe for Brussels sprouts, or you know of a fantastic olive oil. Share it in the comments below. Let's all learn from each other. Thanks so much for joining me today. Stay wise, stay well, and remember to eat for a long and vibrant life.